Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Thrown under the bus.
No.
Always live. Always real. Always unpredictable.
I'm not okay with that.
It sounded good when I thought.
Log on and join our live conversation.
Yes,
I don't like that.
You're 100% right.
DBL starts right now.
Ooh, this.
Welcome to DBL. It is Thursday, September 5th. I'm here with Stephanie, Tori, Brandon. I am Sam. Let's get right to it. Well, we begin with a quick update on Hurricane Dorian. And because we're live, we've got the latest. The Category 3 storm is about 100 miles south of Charleston, South Carolina right now. And already people there are experiencing downed trees and flooding. Check out this video posted this morning showing 3 to 5 foot deep flooding with high tides still to come. And in Wilmington, North Carolina, this tornado was spotted near a fire station, and all along the coast, more than 240,000 people have already lost power. This is a storm. We've talked about it. We've been following on the show. It's slow moving. We want to make sure that everybody out there, especially DBL Nation, please check on your neighbors. If you're using a generator, make sure it's not near your home. Use as many extension cords as possible to keep away from your home, because when you have 240,000 people without power, that's a lot of generators.
Yep.
If you don't keep your generator far away from your home, you risk dying from carbon monoxide poisoning.
Which I never knew.
And many first responders say that's what they end up cleaning up after the mess, are people that died from carbon monoxide. So please check on your neighbors and make sure that you share that notice. Did the president or someone from his office alter a map showing Hurricane Dorian's projected path? That's the question everyone is asking after he displayed this map that appears to have been marked up to show the hurricane heading toward Alabama. Of course, the president denies using a Sharpie to change it, but that didn't stop late night from roasting him. Watch.
The President of the United States just changed the map with a Sharpie to make himself look right. Huh? And he thought we wouldn't notice.
He's not even trying to hide the lies anymore. Not only do we have fake news, we now have fake weather, too. It's...
Mr. President, you're going to weather jail. Now, because of the fact that the president misinterpreted where the water would go, I'm calling this scandal Watergate.
All right, so Tori, is this a big deal or is it not?
So, yeah, it's a really big deal, and it's really embarrassing, and it's really pathetic, and it's really an interesting pattern of not accepting the reality of the situation, right? So he said earlier this week, Alabama's going to get hit by water. Alabama and NOAA came out and said, we're not going to get hit by water. It's 85 degrees. It's going to be fine. He doubled down. He said, no, it'll be hit. They said, no, again, please don't scare the people from Alabama. Then he doubled down again and said, I promise you it'll hit, it's hit hard or it will. Then he holds up a doctored sign, okay, which is completely illegal, to doctor a national weather forecast and pass it off as official, a federal law violation. He uses a Sharpie. This guy loves Sharpies.
We have a photo of the Sharpies, too.
Okay, he has it, a special Sharpie made for him that he keeps at his desk.
Is that it?
That is it, and it is engraved with his name on it that he likes to use because it's big and powerful and saturated, he said. I don't know if he did it, I don't know, but he condoned holding that up to prove that his ego was right. He refuses to face reality, and he only wants to do what he thinks is right. Now that is not safe for America.
And that
is not okay.
Is it illegal because of the mass hysterical calls? Like, why is it illegal? Just explain to me.
Yeah, you can't alter a National Weather Service forecast and then pass it off as official, because you will literally cause mass hysteria. So Alabama people, you might want to think about
What would you say to the people that said, Tori, listen, of all the battles that you could pick fighting when it comes to President Trump, why this one?
Because I refuse to normalize this behavior I refuse to accept reality. He says Russia didn't interfere. Mexico will pay for the wall. I had the biggest crowd size. These are all little things, but it's unacceptable to not accept reality.
Right.
Unacceptable.
Fair enough. Chime in, DBL Nation, chime in. Well, an American woman has been charged with human trafficking after allegedly trying to smuggle a 6-day-old baby out of the Philippines. Authorities say she tried to board a U.S.-bound flight, hiding the newborn in her carry-on bag. Oh my God. Investigators say she did not have any documentation for the child. Originally, she told officials she was the child's aunt. The baby is now with the Department of Social Welfare while the investigation continues. And let me just say, Brandon, there's been many stories. So first it was I'm the aunt, then I'm the brothers. Like, her story continues to change. They know who the biological mother is now. The biological mother is a 19-year-old young woman. So the investigation continues, but this is bad.
Yeah, but I ask you all, there are women who struggle with infertility.
This woman has 5 children.
Oh, okay.
This woman has 5 children.
Wow.
There goes my question.
It doesn't. So maybe you want another child. This isn't the right way to do it.
No, not at all.
There's no proper documentation. There's a process when it comes to adoption. There's
a lot of money on that market.
I mean, this woman, if she's found guilty, she faces going back to the Philippines and going to jail in the Philippines for 30+ years. This is child endangerment. This is smuggling. This is child trafficking. So this is not a situation that people take lightly, and this investigation will prove that.
Yeah, and she's still in the Philippines. She's still detained there right now. And I mean, I watched Locked Up Abroad.
Yeah.
That's not where you want to
you
spend
do
your
not.
jail sentence.
Yeah.
So thank God for Delta Airlines for being very thorough and checking everything.
Good call for shutting them out.
But there are 5.5 million children that are trafficked every single year, especially from third world countries like this.
Yeah, this is a market thing. It's a money thing.
I mean,
And sometimes the parents do willingly sell their children because they are in impoverished conditions. So you have to understand their situation, not to condone it, but you have to have empathy there. But then sometimes these babies are completely kidnapped.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a number of different things that they're going to have to look into, but they did find the biological mom, and the investigation does continue. Yeah. All right. Well, Old Town Road singer/rapper Lil Nas X is explaining his decision to come out as gay just as his hit song was in the #1 spot on the Billboard charts. That's when Kevin Hart spoke up. It all went down on an episode of The Shop on HBO. Watch.
He said he was gay, so what?
Yeah, what's the point? So why did he feel that was necessary? It's not about who cares. That's actually my question. Why did he feel it was necessary to come out and say that?
It's not that it's being forced. It's just knowing growing up, I'm growing up to hate. I'm not supposed to ever like this.
Hate what? Hate what?
Homosexuality, gay people. Come on now.
Why are you going to?
If you're really from the hood,
No, and I see you guys talk. I see you guys saying that, but you didn't watch the entire thing. We're just showing this one clip. He's telling him to live his truth and don't explain having to live your truth. He also says another clip. You shouldn't have to defend guys this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. This dude is a black cowboy rapper. He has already become the first of just the first to come out and do things, and it's like you shouldn't have to explain anymore. Hey guys, I'm gay. You have to listen to me now because I'm gay.
You've heard of the term mansplaining, right?
No, that's not mansplaining.
No, I'm not saying that is mansplaining, but in my opinion, it's very similar to that in that Lil Nas X did not have an opportunity in that moment to really express the bigotry that he's experienced. And I think that moment got taken away from him. Not to say Kevin Hart wasn't trying to be an advocate for him. I don't know. I need to watch the entire episode. But I think that's where people are reacting on social media. They feel like that Lil Nas X kind of got dismissed.
Well, yeah, and I want to hear what you have to say. To me, I feel you. I hear you. But in what I just saw, that diminished him when he goes, scared of what? And he was like, we all know. It's very clear in the hip hop community that being gay was a bad thing for a long and the country. But for him to come out, it isn't explaining, it's being proud to be gay and allowing a gay boy to see him and say, I can do that. That's important to call out.
I'm glad he's doing that, and I'm glad he did that. But he's not the first celebrity. He ain't Rocket Man. Rocket Man has already told us what he's gone through.
That doesn't take away from someone's battle. I know, but that doesn't take away. Everybody fights their own battle.
Yeah.
And just because
I think so too.
2,000 people, 2 million people, whatever you want to call it, came out before you, doesn't mean that you didn't face your own discrimination growing up. So
coming out,
we also, it's 2019. It's now what? It's a now what?
But
now that you've come out, what are you going to do to get rid of that imagery or that stereotype?
Like
exactly. But that's what we're waiting on.
But not talking about it isn't normalized.
Go ahead, Stephanie. Let's get Stephanie in here.
We need to talk about it. We need not just one voice, not just voices that have been before. This needs to be a daily conversation so then it can become normalized, because in a lot of communities, it's not. So I'm proud of him for standing up for himself and for speaking for so many people that don't have a voice. This is why we need this conversation.
I agree.
I mean, I'm proud of him for sure. Because like I said, I have a sister that's a lesbian, so I'm proud of him. But now it's like, it's now what?
But that's
because
not up
he's
to
not
you.
the only
And that's not
person.
up to Kevin Hart. It's up to him.
It's up to Lil Nas X.
It's up to Lil Nas X. He has every right to handle it the way that he wants to handle it. And
I just don't think people should jump on Kevin Hart because of that one clip.
Fair enough.
Because he told him, live that truth. Live that truth.
I think people are just rallying behind Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
And I think it's a sensitive issue, and I appreciate that people are at least having the conversation.
Yes,
trying
for
to
sure.
both sides.
For sure.
DBL is live. Coming up, we'll talk with a former gay conversion therapy leader who just came out and get his take on what it was like trying to change young people's sexualities. And you, the viewer, are our fifth host. The Supreme Court could decide once and for all if homeless people can sleep anywhere they want in public spaces. Your comments on the controversial topic are next.
Hi, DBL Nation. Kelly Schubert here with the DBL Digital team. I'm tracking all the breaking and trending news for you right now. Also watching Hurricane Dorian. We are getting conflicting reports on whether this is a Category 2 storm or a Category 3 storm right now. Meteorologists are reporting it as a Category 2 storm, so that's what I'm going to go with. But it is important to note that the strength is going back and forth, so I'll keep watch on that for you. Let's go to the desk and see what's going on with Sam and Brandon.
Just make sure you're accurate.
Hey, Sam and Brandon, what's up over here? Hey. Hi, guys. So just so you guys know, Hurricane Dorian is varying between a Category 2 storm and a Category 3 storm right now. It keeps going back and forth, which is crazy, which we don't usually see happen. The meteorologists are reporting it as a Category 2 storm right now, so hopefully it weakens a little as it gets closer to the Carolinas.
Yeah, and it's,
But it's the slow movingness of the storm that's really caused a lot of damage. So the winds might not be as strong, but it's sitting and sitting and sitting, and that's caused a lot of damage.
Yep. So we'll keep watching that. Any comments coming in? I know a lot of our viewers are in Florida. They're seeing the aftermath of what went through. Luckily, not much damage there.
I read this article on CNN today, and it really, CNN.com, and it broke my heart about this guy. He was holding his wife, and she drowned while they were waiting for first responders and all.
Where was this, in the Bahamas?
No, not in the Bahamas. I think it was down in. Yeah, it was in the Bahamas. It was in the Bahamas. Yeah, and it's you read these stories, and like you see, we showed the aerial footage of what the Bahamas looks like, and it's just not going to be the same.
The shoreline is completely changed.
They said it was 36 hours of almost a horror movie, they said. Because it was just hovering, like you said, the storm was just sitting over the Bahamas.
And you wake up, it's like, how are you supposed to get money now? Like, you can't work.
They can't even get water.
Your business is done.
I know. That was like Puerto Rico didn't have water forever.
And Bethany Frankel, she is stepping in just like she did with Puerto Rico.
She is unbelievable.
She really is. You got to give her props.
You got to give her credit, whether you like her or hate her from The Real Housewives.
TV show, yeah.
She's unbelievably philanthropic.
And the man who spent $49,000 at Costco, he went and bought 100 generators. So they're on a boat now on his way to the Bahamas.
And again, with the generators, you cannot have a generator near your home. I was listening to first responders on the radio, and they were saying that a lot of the deaths after the fact end up being carbon monoxide poisoning because people think they can put a generator.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for Fifth Host, when we talk about what you're talking about. The issue of how some major cities deal with homeless people is headed to the Supreme Court. A federal court ruled last year in 9 western states that it is unconstitutional to ban the homeless from sleeping in public. Now the city of Boise wants the U.S. Supreme Court to reconsider because of major health and safety concerns. So DBL Nation, should homeless people be allowed to sleep in public? Take it away, Brandon.
All right. Bev from Facebook says, really? The homeless could be helped by simply giving them free housing. It is cheaper, less complicated, more dignified, and ethically better than a bunch of Band-Aid solutions. Bev, thanks for writing in. Kanye West has come up with the prototype to shelter homeless people, and people are laughed at him. People are mocking him for that. So I think it's going to be a little bit harder.
Well, they mock the design.
Mock the design. Yeah, mock the design. But at the same time,
it's a solution.
It's a solution.
Amen.
Thank you. Yep. My thing is, I was living in Capitol Hill, Denver. We're here live in Denver. We had homeless people back, like a whole community in our alley. I don't mind that. It's just clean up after yourself, please, because then you see the people of the community having to come in and clean up after them. Just clean up after yourself.
Martin from Facebook says, I have to walk by homeless people every day, and I honestly know that the majority of them are on drugs or are criminals. They shouldn't be allowed to sleep outside of my window or in public parks where children play. Wow, I'm super torn on this. I have a lot of empathy for the homeless, but I also know that a court just ruled successfully for public nuisance for opioids. They called that a public nuisance, and I can see this winning as a public nuisance for health reasons, for syringes, for diseases. So I think they are going to have to move. That's what I predict. Yeah, unfortunately.
Ty from Facebook says, no matter what, homeless people will sleep in public places. There's no law that will stop them. This is a really tough situation because I feel that unless the government is going to give them somewhere to stay, where are they meant to go? In a lot of cities, I've seen really hideous things like spikes under doorways and there is nowhere for them to go, but in other countries there's amazing different prospects where there's pop-up tents that are available, or there are safe houses and homes. So I think,
or they have free health care and they have mental health care, and so they're kind of attacking the root of the problem.
Yeah, but just remember, a few people said, oh yeah, they're all criminals, and I know they're all drug addicts. That's not always the case. It could be down to medical bills. It could be down to so many things that we don't know about. So please don't just assume.
Yep. Penny from Facebook says housing is and should always be a right. In an increasingly privatized world, everybody has a right to be somewhere. I completely agree with you, Penny. I think that is the solution. That's the root of the problem, as well as helping people with addiction, helping people with mental health issues. But it is a public health crisis right now. I'm from Santa Cruz, California. I know in Santa Cruz there's certain parts of the beaches you can't go to anymore without there being a syringe. You can't go to certain public parks. Certain businesses are closing down because homeless people have set up shop in front of their businesses, and so small businesses are being impacted. So I understand both sides of this. I just think that the solution should be more on getting to the root of the problem and not figuring out where to put them. That to me seems inhumane. Thank you for writing in. Okay, love what you have to say, DBL Nation. Coming up on DBL, a powerful interview you have to stick around for. We ask a former gay conversion therapy leader what his life is like after coming out and what he thinks of the controversial practice he championed for so long. Don't miss it. That is coming up next.
Brandon London here. Tori is talking to one of our producers. I want to continue to talk about this fifth host because it is something that's been talked about for quite some time. We live here in Denver. There is what people would call a homelessness problem. I don't really want to call it a problem because I don't want to disrespect people. I lived in LA. My mother lives in Atlanta. There's a problem there. So here's the thing: when we say free housing available for them, usually when people say free, you get some sort of backlash from that because it's coming out of the taxpayers' money. So I look at it as if you're going to be homeless and you're going to stay at this shelter, you're required to do a certain amount of hours of community service work, picking up, litter and stuff amongst your city and all, because a lot of people are saying there should be no such thing as a handout. How do you feel about that?
I think I would really opt in for that, because I think in every city there's litter, there's graffiti, there's things that needs to be worked on. So if that was a trade-off for part-time work for housing, it gives them time to sort themselves out and find a job. I think it would benefit everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome back to DBL. We talked about this story yesterday. The founder of one of the nation's largest conversion therapy programs that promise to cure homosexuality has come out as gay. For 20 years, McCrae Game led a faith-based therapy program and is now speaking out against the practice. We sat down with him earlier to ask him about the lives he affected in the process. Take a look. Mr. Game, thank you for joining us. What do you say to all the people that you've hurt who say you caused them to hate themselves or even try to commit suicide? What would you say to them right now if they're watching?
I have said many times that I'm sorry. I done, I'll be apologizing, I'm sure, for the rest of my life. I always tried to be as honest as I possibly could when people were in my office sitting and talking with me. And if anybody had done that before, they would know that. But I can also understand the drive-by view that people had of our organization that said, freedom from homosexuality through Jesus Christ led people to believe that we were going to do one thing when we really meant something completely different.
I just want to jump in quickly and ask you, what made you come out now, and how long did you actually know you were gay for?
Well, I knew I was different at around 5 years old. And around 11, it started becoming more real. I didn't have my first gay interaction until I was 19. But then I fell into the evangelical world from 22 until the day that I got fired, November 2017.
Mr. Game, I want to ask a question I think our entire audience is questioning, is how do you live with yourself? Because you know that there's got to be almost literally and figuratively blood on your hands. What way do you feel that you can best atone for this this act that you've committed?
I could just be silent. I could just not be doing any of this. I could just be being quiet. But I believe that my voice is best used speaking out against what I now see as a wrong, and admitting those wrongs specifically and saying what those wrongs specifically were. If I were to get a speaking engagement, I would certainly accept that. I did commit to a lengthy Facebook Live video that's on my feed where I explained all this last night. I did commit to giving any monies from any speaking honorariums or any book profits to LGBTQ organizations. I have been involved in the gay community in any way, trying to volunteer and do anything that I can.
I appreciate that you are on your road to redemption. I would like this to be the first opportunity on that road to redemption. So what can you tell our viewers right now that believe that gay conversion therapy works? What can you tell them, coming from someone who used to attempt to convert little boys and girls who are just trying to live their truth? What would you say to the audience right now?
Well, I believe conversion therapy or any form of teaching or therapy or ministry that is trying to tell someone what comes naturally to them is wrong and harmful. It is harmful to that person's psyche, their sense of peace, their sense of well-being, and I would encourage them to stop. And the person who is trying to seek after that, I would encourage them to reconsider that and to talk to a friend that is, because a lot of these people that are seeking out these organizations, they are being pushed in that direction, and they need to reach out to someone who's not pushing them in that direction.
I know when we talked about this yesterday, I kind of came at you and it kind of felt like I was attacking you. No, like I said, you're one of the biggest allies I know when it comes to the LGBTQ community.
No,
I'm glad you didn't let him off the hook with that.
Oh, yeah. I appreciated you seeing him for what you believed he was to be.
Yeah.
You believed him to be an opportunist, in your opinion.
Yep.
And I think seeing the lack of remorse after speaking to him, I tend to understand more where you're coming from.
Yeah. So. It's a wait and see moment.
Yeah, we'll see the actions, right?
Yes.
Actions speak louder than words. We'll be right back.
Promotion. Breathe. Beauty Blast Police is here for you, honey. Now, this week, y'all, I have to talk to you guys about something that's near and dear to my heart, okay? If you guys remember, I really don't like blue eyeshadow. It's bad. It's bad. So I'm gonna tell you guys right now, step away from the blue eyeshadow. and nobody gets hurt, honey. Yes, ma'am, I'm Jeray for the Slay, and this week we're talking about using blue eyeshadows way too much. It's an overdone color that actually makes you look bad, my friend, and it's time to throw it to the window. Bye! So, let's get back to the basics. Why don't we use blue eyeshadow? Blues and purple eyeshadows all over your eyes will cause you to look like you are bruised and beaten, honey. It is not a cute look by any means. Now, when you're using a lot more of these blue and purple eyeshadows, it actually reminds the eye, or it reminds how we look at other people in the eye, of more of those sallow colors of bruising, of more sickness, anything like that. It's everything you don't want to look like when you're trying to feel like Beyonce, honey, okay? So instead, you want to lean more towards warmer colors. Look for warm taupes, warm browns, soft reds, soft golds. You can even use hints of blue, but just don't put it all over your eye like you from the Drew Carey show looking like Mimi or whatever, girl. Bring it back a little bit more and use it in subtle ways. So some ways you can still use blue eyeshadow but not look crazy are by popping it slightly under the eye, using it as a transition color. So maybe for a smoky eye, you can take it from black to blue for a very gentle approach. But the last thing, once again, that you want to do is keep that blue all over your eye and run out your house looking like a clown. Because guess what? Everyone's gonna tell you, Jeray for the Slay told me not to wear that blue eyeshadow. Hanny. Now, another way that you can also incorporate some blue into your look, if you're really stuck on using the blue, is maybe just using a blue eyeliner as well. This is a great way to keep a subtle eye, use creams, soft browns, maybe even a little black in the end corner of your eye, and then take it in with a deep navy liner to enhance your eyes. I'm sure you will thank me later, guys. All right, now that's all for this week's Beauty Blast, but for next week, go ahead and write me in at Jeray for the Slay for more of what you want to see. We'll talk to you guys later.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. What do we have, Tori?
Well, the homeless situation actually caused a big rift. It's interesting. Phil Cohen says shelters are only open at certain times. That's another problem, right? We are all human. Let's help, not hinder.
Love that.
And he reminds us to be careful. There's a lot of veterans that are homeless.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Tony says they do not have the right to sit in front of my business or home. I feel this is so unfair. Now, he also spoke out and said he was homeless himself, Tony.
Wow.
And he got help as a veteran. So it's an interesting perspective on that point of view.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a more nuanced conversation.
Thank you for your service, Tony.
Yes,
Thank you.
amen to that. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.